Another talented arm is headed to Los Angeles as 2026 quarterback Julian Lewis announced his commitment to the USC Trojans earlier this week. Caleb Williams is aiming for consecutive Heisman trophies and a first appearance in the college football playoff. The depth chart heading into this weekend also features former four-star Miller Moss and former five-star Malachi Nelson. We brought on our own five-star to break it all down, Chris Trevino of USCFootball.com. Chris, we mentioned the hurricane at the top of the show. And, you know, in terms of people here in Los Angeles, I think you could say that Julian Lewis drew just as many headlines. When you look ahead to the future, when Caleb Williams is off this roster, where does Julian Lewis fit in Lincoln Riley's quarterback room?
Look, it's very hard to predict what a quarterback room is going to look like in the age of NIL and the transfer portal. But I can tell you that Julian Lewis is going to walk onto campus whenever that is, and he's going to be a threat to play early for Lincoln Riley. As we know, Lincoln Riley values the talent in that room, and he's going to be able to put him on the field if he wants to. We saw that with Caleb Williams in his freshman season. So Malachi Nelson, Miller Moss, those guys are expected to compete for that starting job next season. But hey, Julian Lewis could be competing against Malachi Nelson for that starting job when he arrives on campus. But I can tell you what, Lincoln Riley is going to build the most competitive QB room that he can make. So if that means he's got to go into the transfer portal this offseason for 2024, he's going to do it. Julian Lewis will be walking into a lion's den of a quarterback room, whoever is in there. But Julian Lewis is also a Lion himself. So he is a threat to play as a freshman.
All right, so looking at that quarterback room, though, USC doesn't have a QB committed this current cycle. And with Julian Lewis now in the fold for 2026, you would assume it makes it that much more difficult to land a passer in the 25 class. So we got to know, I mean, how likely is maybe a reclassification for Lewis to the 2025 class?
That is obviously the big question right now, and it's something that's going to circle him for the next several months. If I was a betting man, I would say that is going to happen. It just feels like it's set up for that. I mean, a couple of the signs that have pointed to that is they have not offered a QB in 2025. They've hosted a couple guys, brought them on campus, but they have not pulled the trigger on offering someone in 2025. So there's a big hole for them to say, hey, we have an open spot. Come be our 2025 quarterback. And the other sign is they actually offered another 2026 quarterback, which I found very interesting. They did it back in April. Helaman Kasuga out of Utah, ranked in our top 100 for the 2026, a very good quarterback prospect. But they offered him well into recruiting Julian Lewis and where they felt really good about Julian Lewis. So that was a really interesting offer to me and told me like, hey, something might be brewing here where they're just going to move Julian Lewis to 2025. Kasuga in 2026, and let's move on from there. So again, if I was a betting man, I would say yes, I think it's going to happen, but that's something Julian Lewis is going to have to make the decision on his own.
Lincoln Riley has recruited and coached the likes of Baker Mayfield and Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray and now Caleb Williams. When you look at Julian Lewis, the quarterback, Chris, stylistically, how does he compare to those guys and how does he fit into USC's offense?
In terms of fit, the word that comes to mind is beautifully. You know, all those guys you listed are very different players, but they all have something in common in that they're very mobile. They can create, they can get out of trouble, they can create on the fly, they can keep the play alive. And that's something that Julian Lewis can do. Now, he may not be as dynamic an athlete as, say, a Caleb Williams busting off a 70-yard run down the field. Maybe that's something that will develop in his game. He doesn't have that elite athleticism, but hey, look at the tape. This kid can move, he can get out of the pocket, he can process, he can make those beautiful off-balance throws. He's so elite at that at just a freshman. So when you think of all those high-level quarterbacks Lincoln Riley's produced, the best ones and the best fit for his offense are ones that can create, get out of trouble, and make something out of nothing. And in the college game, that's so huge because negative plays kill you at the college level. And so having a guy who can get out of trouble, create on the fly, pick up yards with his feet is huge. So it's a perfect marriage for Lincoln Riley and this offense. And, you know, he is set up to be maybe the next great one that Lincoln Riley has produced. He has to keep developing, obviously, but he has all the traits that set him up to be one of those guys.
Perfect. Beautiful. I love all of these words. This is a very exciting segment for USC fans. I know it's the most important position in football, but we got to talk about the rest of the positions out there. So as USC prepares for its Big Ten future, who are some names that we should keep an eye on for upcoming classes?
Well, let's start with 2024. Just looking ahead to this weekend, shout out to Brian Doan, our 24/7 Sports national recruiter on the East Coast, got scoop, that Jalen Harvey, an edge rusher out of Maryland, who is down to Penn State, USC, and Maryland, will be coming to town this weekend for a last-second unofficial for the San Jose State game. And this is a guy USC felt very confident for in the summer, coming off his official visit. This will be his third visit this weekend, and it shows that he means business coming across the country from Maryland to California to watch this game. So, it feels like a Penn State-USC battle right now, with Penn State maybe having the edge. But USC has felt very confident with him. And I think this one's going to come down to convincing his parents, a.k.a. his mother, to send her baby all the way across the country. So this is going to be a big visit for the family to get more comfortable with that. So we'll see how they're feeling on the sidelines. I'll be down there, so I'll be checking out for Jalen Harvey. But obviously that's a more short-term one in the 2024 class. And then another prospect for 2025.
Yep, go ahead, Chris.
That USC. Okay, sorry. I didn't know we were switching around, but Chris Cole obviously is a linebacker in 2024 that they're hosting for an official visit on September 2nd. And that's a big one because USC needs some linebacker help at that position. They missed out on some of their prospects this summer. So Chris Cole is the guy who's going to come in September 2nd for an official visit. Supposed to make his commitment September 7th. So, hey, anytime you can get the final official visit, it's a great sign. They're going to have to, make some headway against Georgia, which has the crystal ball lead. But USC will be putting all the moves on him to get him to be their linebacker in 2024. And then 2025, you have Noah McHale out of Bonita, who is a 4-star prospect in the 2025 cycle. He has been to USC more than any 2025 prospect I can think of. Every time he goes on a national visit to somewhere big, because he is a national prospect, he always makes it a point to get back to USC. USC has been building this relationship for a very long time, so it feels like this one is going to pay off very soon. He loves USC. His family loves USC. It just seems natural for the local kid to come be a Trojan and maybe make that commitment sooner rather than later. And the most telling sign for me is that he actually came out for USC's first fall practice of the year, which was at 6:30 in the morning. Imagine getting a teenager to get up in the summer to come out to watch practice at 6:30 in the morning. That's the most telling sign for me.
Yeah, and then you obviously see some of the film there. We talk a lot about quarterbacks and skill talent, but that's where USC needs the most help, is on the defensive side of the ball. And Noah would be a huge pickup for them in the 25 class. Chris, USC is 2 days away from kicking off year 2 of the Lincoln Riley era. It is USC versus San Jose State this Saturday night inside the Coliseum. What is the atmosphere like around the program as it gets set to make another charge towards the college football playoff?
I would say it feels like 80% pure excitement and then 20% pure anxiety and anxiousness. The season ended on such a low note that USC fans are just waiting for that opportunity to see their team back on the field and kind of silence some people on social media and doubters. And this team as well, they've heard all off season how bad their defense is. And last season, there was a lot of excitement, but it was a different kind of excitement knowing that, they're going into the Lincoln Riley era. You didn't really know what to make of the 2022 season. They kept setting new expectations as the year went on. Could this be a 9-win season? Oh, this is a 10-win season. Oh, they could go to the Pac-12 championship. Oh, maybe they're going to go to the college football playoff. They obviously came 1 win short of that, but the expectations for 2023 are drawn very clear. It's college football playoff or bust, make a run at the national title. You have Caleb Williams. You have an elite Heisman winner. You can't waste that window, and a lot of that anxiety is around their defense. It has to be better if they want to make that run, if they want to accomplish those goals for this year. So everyone is just waiting. They need to see what the defense looks like. They're just so eager to finally get it over with and see and start building and start watching some games.
I think there are a lot of fan bases out there that could say the same thing. 80% excitement, 20% anxiety. Just excited for the season to finally be here. Chris, thanks so much for breaking it all down for us. People watching out there, go ahead and hit that like button too. I think less than half of you have hit it. We can do so much better than that, but you can't do any better. If you're looking for USC football content, then heading to uscfootball.com. They got you covered for all things football and recruiting.